this video, I am going to show you how to use VLOOKUP function. So in the navigation spreadsheet, you need to click on this VLOOKUP here and you will be directed to the VLOOKUP spreadsheet. Here you can see I have this text box here which will give you the basic overview what this type of function can do for you. So as the text says, you can use VLOOKUP to find out a specific data within the data table. I have this table on the right, which in itself is just normal data. There's no functions or formulas within this data. There's obviously some conditional formatting, but it is just raw data. Now if I were to select the cell in this table on the left, you can see it in the formula bar that there's actually a function present. So what I did was I just used VLOOKUP function to find out the corresponding color for each of these names. Well, how useful is this going to be? Because if I wanted to find out the corresponding color, let's say for Emma, I can see that Emma corresponds with green color. Well, I thought that this would serve as a good example just to show you how the VLOOKUP is written and how it works. But I have got this real world example in this blue table here on the right, and this is something that we will move on to towards the end of this tutorial. So just scroll down a bit and come down to this table here, and this is where we are going to write out the VLOOKUP function. So with my cell here, I'll type in equals VLOOKUP open parentheses. Now the first thing that the function is asking for is the lookup value, or in layman terms, what value do you want us to look up? And that's going to be this person, Mike. We reference the Mike in this table here. You cannot see it because it is hidden behind this formula. So the reference would be C23 and my comma will go in. Now we reference the table array. So I can just select this table here, and now because we will be using autofill, I'll just have to make these absolute by clicking F4. And now I can put my comma in. Now it is asking for the column index number, and basically this is just asking when we find this value from C23 cell reference, which is Mike, what column do you want us to look into to retrieve that data? Well, there's two columns within this table, so this would be the column 2 because I want the color. So I'll just type in 2. Now my comma will go in, and now we can move on to the last part of this function, which is going to be, do you want an approx match or an exact match? Now I would say that it's quite common practice just to use the exact match. But if you are wondering what approximate match means, if the VLOOKUP couldn't find the value that you were looking for, it would return some type of approximate match. So in most of the occasions, you will probably just use the exact match. So I'll just type in false and I'll just close this off, and now I can press enter. And as you can see, now we have an accurate answer, and I'll just use autofill to fill in the rest of this column. And you can see we have the correct corresponding colors. Now you might think to yourself, well, that's pretty good, but what will happen if we mixed up all these names? So let's say we had Mike down here and Lily here, Emma here, Samson here. Would it still work? And the answer is yes. So I'll just show you that it does. So what I'm going to do is I'll just copy and paste the function that we have written out, and I'll just come here and paste that function here. Now I'll press escape. Now one thing we need to do here in the formula bar is just change the cell referencing, because at the moment it is referencing this table here. So we'll just change this cell reference to this table here, and we'll make it absolute by clicking F4, and now I can press enter. Now I will use autofill to fill in this column, and you can see that the corresponding colors are all correct. So as I said, it does work. So now let's move on to a real world example that I have for you. So what I would like to do here is this. I would like to employ the VLOOKUP function to retrieve specific pieces of data from my table. So in this case, what I would like is to have the ability to put in the manufacturer of vehicle in this cell here and then have returned to me automatically the engine size that corresponds to the vehicle manufacturer. And we'll start to write out our VLOOKUP function. So with my cell here equals VLOOKUP open parentheses. Now it is asking what value do you want us to look up. In this particular instance, I don't want to type in one of these vehicle makers here or even reference any of these cells. I want to reference the cell below the function. If I put my data in this cell, then VLOOKUP will reference that data and give me my corresponding answer back. So the cell reference below is S13, comma will go in, and now it is asking for the table array. So I'll just select my table here. Well, there's no need to select these headers, and I'll make it absolute by clicking F4. Well, there is no need to do that, but I'll still do that because we are not really using the autofill right now, but it is fine to make this absolute. Comma will go in, and now it is asking for what column should I look in within this table, and that would be this engine size column, which would be the second column. So I'll just type in 2, comma will go in, and then finally I'll type in false, and I'll close this within close parentheses, and I'll press enter. And as you can see, we have this error message that's given back to us, which is fine. But if I come to this cell below and type in my vehicle manufacturer and press enter, you can see that I have the correct engine size sent back to me, which is exactly what I want. Let's try with another vehicle manufacturer, 6500 cc's, which is correct. So here I have a little exercise for you. I would like you to write out a VLOOKUP function, and the data I want to return is number of doors. So you need to look up the number of doors that the corresponding vehicle has. I want the same functionality. If I type in vehicle manufacturer in the cell below, I should have the corresponding data shown above. So go ahead and pause the tutorial and give it a go. But as for myself, I have just got to carry on because I cannot pause this tutorial. So I'll just go ahead and show you the solution. So it starts off with my VLOOKUP function, open parentheses, I'll reference this cell here, comma will go in, I'll select the whole table, make it absolute, comma will go in, column index number is 3 because we want the number of doors, comma will go in, and I'll type in false. I'll close this off and press enter. Now if I type in Lambo here, we can see that the number of doors are 3. And as you can see, I have already written out the VLOOKUP function for these two cells here. And the idea is this. What I would like to do is, well, first of all, I need to delete this. And now if I click, hold and drag this to this column here, and you can see that I have all of my corresponding answers show up. So all I need to do is I need to type in the vehicle manufacturer name here. So let's go for Audi, and I'll just autofill this. I can see that I have the correct number of doors associated with this vehicle, correct MPG, which is miles per gallon with this vehicle, and the correct year as well. So this overall is just sort of a handy little tool that you can use to extract multiple pieces of data from a table. But anyway, that is VLOOKUP function for you. And as you can see, it is extremely useful.